Irvingman, Irvingman, watches shows sitting on his can. Tells a story, tells a joke, monetizes cause he's broke. Look out, here comes the Irvingman.
Way down yonder in the swamps of Florida, a familiar character has made what could be the most amazing find of all time.
This will be the final test. And if my theory is right, I've discovered the fountain of youth. No! No, it can't be!
Something tells me he's not the first one to discover it. In New York, at the Daily Bugle building in J. Jonah Jameson's office, a bulletin has come over the wire. Dr. Kurt Connor, the famous scientist, has disappeared. His family is quite distraught. Peter Parker will head down there to see what happened to his friend. You probably noticed that Dr. Connor has 2 arms. We saw before that this show took a whole different tack than the comics did, and his reasons for becoming the Lizard had nothing to do with wanting to restore his missing limb. As long as we keep that in mind, we can just go with it.
If anybody can find my dad, you can, Spider-Man.
Thanks for the vote of confidence, Billy. I'll sure try. Think I'll check the lab, Mrs. Connor. It might give me a clue.
Spider-Man? Somebody's already doing that.
Water. Just plain water. Connor must carry the secret in his ruddy head. Well, I'll force him to give me the formula.
Quite the litter bug, aren't you?
Too bad he didn't notice what that plain water does and try some. Spidey could have found himself fighting a toddler.
Spider-Man! Look out!
Thanks for the warning, Billy. Clivenden runs away, but now Spider-Man knows who he's dealing with and who most likely has Connor. The big question is why.
Let me go with you, huh? Please?
There's an old saying, Billy. He swings fastest who swings alone. You stay here. I'll find your dad.
And we all know Billy will do exactly as he's told, right? And now, for future reference, I want us to notice something. He's covering a lot of territory, and most of it is liquid swamp. Keep that in the back of your mind.
Spider sense tells me there's something odd about that little object. I gotta know why. A Spanish doubloon. 1474.
If he finds the right collector for that, he's rich. The history of the Spaniard conquistadors in Florida is well documented. The first one to discover Florida, even though the locals already knew where it was Ponce de Leon. Most of us know his name as the guy who went looking for the Fountain of Youth. Turns out he may or may not have been doing that, since the first records that talk about it were put down 100 years after he lived, and he never wrote a single word about it. But the Spanish controlled Florida for a long time, and it wouldn't be unusual to find an artifact or two.
Things are getting curiouser and curiouser.
Hey! It's me, Spider-Man!
I have a fan who often comments on these videos, and I have a feeling I know one of the first questions they're going to ask about this episode. How did Billy get there? Remember all that ground Spider-Man was covering, or more precisely, all that water he was swinging over? I figure Billy has his own web shooters and just followed him. And don't worry, plenty more questions like that one are going to come up, so everybody will get a turn to ask one.
I thought I told you to stay put.
I just wanted to help you find my dad.
Hit the dirt, Billy.
I know you're in there, Spider-Man, and I know the way to flush you out.
Just keep moving, Billy.
Clivenden discovered that arrows are cheaper if you buy them by the gross. He converted an old golf cart and bag into a quiver to hold them all. But we don't want to make him appear like some kind of weakling who needs help from wheels, so they didn't show that part.
Old Spider Sense is working overtime.
Spidey! I'm stuck!
Quicksand!
His spider sense may be working overtime, but his brain isn't. Why doesn't he stop and find out what it's trying to tell him? Clivenden will leave them to drown in it and go away. Spider-Man is strong enough that he can at least toss Billy to the shore and save him.
I thought he'd never leave.
Billy Billy knew right then and there that when he grew up, he wanted to be an engineer and design an amusement park based on all the rides Spider-Man was giving him.
Do you know where my dad is, Spidey?
I'm not sure, but I think he may be at the old Spanish fort. And the only way to get there is by water. All set, Billy. Climb aboard.
I told you there were plenty of questions to go around. How did he make a working internal combustion engine out of his webbing? Where did he get the gas? Why doesn't it melt the first time the cylinders fire? Take your pick. And then there's the big question, where's he going?
Look! Gators!
Don't look now, but there's something worse than gators. He's coming in fast.
I don't know how you escaped the quicksand, Spider-Man. But a good hunter always finishes the job!
He's going into the drink, that's where he's going. Clivenden will leave them to the gators. Clivenden didn't learn a thing from their last encounter.
I let the gators take care of Spider-Man while I get onto Connor's trail. And I jolly well think I know where he is.
The old fort's not too far, so hang on, Billy.
You shouldn't call Dr. Connor an old... Oh, wait, he said old fort.
This must be some kind of nightmare. Me, a 20th century scientist held prisoner by a 15th century Spanish conquistador. And the world will never know.
A 15th century Spanish conquistador who speaks perfect American English, no less.
You must let me out of here. They'll search for me. Sooner or later, someone will come, and when they do... I get the message.
Bada big boom.
A boat! Someone's coming.
If my hunch is right, Connor's $1 million secret will soon be mine.
Is this where my dad is, Spidey?
We'll soon find out, Billy.
Billy's mind is still trying to figure out how to design a ride that does that.
Get me out of here before he comes back!
Oh, you, Dr. Connor?
Yes, I'm being held prisoner. Hurry, get me out.
Certainly, my good doctor. On condition you tell me your secret discovery.
Dad, it's me, Billy.
Billy! And Spider-Man!
Billy figured if they had the element of surprise, it wouldn't be fair. He's thoughtful that way.
Stay behind this, Billy.
I'll make you wish you'd stayed with the alligators.
That wall is probably between 15 and 20 feet high. Spider-Man jumped with his full weight from it and hit Clivenden in the face. And the dude got up. Either he already drank some of that water, or Spider-Man needs to eat more.
I'm coming, Dad.
Someone's missing from this party, but Dr. Connor is the only one who knows it right now.
So, the invincible Spider-Man runs from a fight.
No, he's the amazing Spider-Man. You're thinking of the invincible Iron Man. Please try to keep them straight. While Billy lets his dad out of the cell, Clivenden has Spider-Man on the ropes.
Come on, Dad. Now that I've saved you, I've got to save Spider-Man.
Say your prayers, Spider-Man.
You're a real cut-up, Clivey.
It should be easier to save him now that Clivenden isn't waving that big knife around. If you hurry, you... never mind.
Spider-Man! Thank heaven you're all right.
Everything's wrapped up, Dr. Connor.
Shucks. I wanted to save Spider-Man.
You saved your dad. That's way more significant, and Spider-Man will be the first one to tell you so.
Wallop and web snappers. Dad! Spidey! Hit the dirt!
Hey, Billy, you did get your chance to save Spider-Man. Well done. And however unintentionally, you also destroyed the fountain your dad discovered. As I often say, everything in life is a trade-off. Keep fountain, no got dad. Save dad, no got fountain. Billy decided dad is more important since he didn't know what the fountain was anyway.
The fountain!
What's this all about, Connor?
That just may have been the fountain of youth.
And the old guy?
Just may have been.
Ponce de Leon.
Ponce de Leon was mortally wounded in a battle with some local Florida tribes in 1521. He was evacuated to Havana where he died. He's buried in a crypt in San Juan, Puerto Rico. We know what happened to him. We won't find out what happens to this guy because he ran off and we have no idea where he's headed. Thing is, now that Dr. Connor is free, the fountain is demolished, and his cannon is ineffective, nobody cares. He's out of our hair, that's what matters. And it's time to acknowledge the hero of the hour.
I don't have a medal, Billy, but here's something to remember me by.
Gosh, thanks, Spider-Man.
Billy's curiosity got the best of him, and a couple of weeks later, he went back to the location and started digging into that hill that the water had been pouring out of. That was in 1968. As of day before yesterday, he's still 10 years old, and nobody can figure out why. Most of it is liquid swamp. He converted an old Ponce de Leon. Okay. Was free, the fountain was mortally Ponce. Okay. And then started digging into that hill.